Well, hello everybody and welcome. It is the week we've all been waiting for because it's the week of the Masters, the Augusta Masters. And as you see, Lance Michael is with me. Well, it's Augusta week, but on top of it all, the drama and the story circulating around Tiger perhaps playing is just incredible, Lance. And you were telling me that the crowds watching him practice is incredible.
All over social media, Monday, full house, Tuesday, hopefully today will be a full house. I think he's going to create something that we haven't seen since the Tour Championship, so
Absolutely.
hopefully he plays.
And of course, it'll be the par 3 contest. I'm sure Charlie will play with him because
Is he committed to that?
Well, no, he
He
hasn't.
never usually plays that, so
No, it doesn't.
it would be nice if he does.
He might play because of Charlie.
I hope
It'll be
so.
interesting to see. Well, you might. I suppose you've got to play. You can't get somebody to play it for you, right? You couldn't.
You either play or you don't play, but he hasn't played it in years.
Oh, okay.
So
So maybe not. Plus, you're right, with the wear and tear, I suspect you probably won't. But let's get on to the betting, because SoccerShop.bet have a myriad of possibilities for you to have a bet. And of course, it'll make your experience of the 4 days of the Augusta Masters that much more enjoyable. The question, as we often ask at this time of the year, is where is the value? So we're going to explore that a little bit, but I want to start with the top of the market because, interestingly enough, Lance and I, since the beginning of the year, have been talking about Jon Rahm and his chances of winning a major this year, and we felt that he could win, actually maybe even 2 majors, but he's gone off the boil a bit, hasn't he?
terribly. For my money, he's not the Jon Rahm from
So I wonder what
4
happened.
months ago.
Hmm.
I can't tell you. He's just not striking it. He's not putting well. And I don't know. I see tipping sites tip him as the man to beat, and that's probably on last year's form he may be. But coming into the Masters, for me, not the horse to beat.
No, I agree with you, and he's 12 to 1 for me, offers no value. I mean, Justin Thomas is the other joint favourite at 12 to 1. I don't think he's great value, but I must be honest, of the two, I'd rather go with Thomas.
I would take Thomas before Rahm. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, me too. I mean, there was a moment there in the Players. I think he got the worst of the draw, and he was just brilliant. I think it was the 3rd round when it was
Second
round. It was raining. It was dreadful, and it
Shot
was a
level
masterclass.
par.
Yeah.
Level par. No, he can win it. Every value, he's not value at 12 to 1, but he can win the Masters.
And he's got bones on his bag, so lots
He's
of
only won
experience
it
there.
3 times.
Yeah.
Well,
With lefty. Brilliant. So those two, Rahm and Thomas, we prefer Thomas, but there's really no value there. Equally, I have to say, a man who Lance actually backed for the Players' Championship, and you backed Cameron Smith.
I did, Neil, but in all honesty, I backed him before the final round. So all I did, process of elimination, worked out who, what, how, and I thought he's the best
Okay.
pick. But I wouldn't be rushing to take that price
Not
before
16
4
to 1,
rounds
no.
of the Masters. He puts well, he may be the best putter in the field, but represents zero value.
No, I agree with you. 16 to 1, 0 value. He's 12 to 1 to have the worst mullet in the field, and that's a certainty. You can take as much of that as you like. So, no value yet, I agree with you. Let's move on to Dustin Johnson. Well, DJ has shown signs, and I think he's the defending champion, isn't he?
No, he's not. The
was
defending
2 years
champion
ago.
is Matsuyama.
Ah,
Now, the
that's
reason why initially I liked Cameron was because he chased Dustin home
Okay.
in November. Remember when the Masters was in
That's right,
November?
the November Masters, yes.
So he's kind of got an affinity with the course, and he should play well, and he most probably will play well. Dustin's coming to form. He's been the last 2 tournaments right in the mix. So he's got to be a runner, but still, again, not anybody I would put my cash on.
I don't know if you agree with me, but I mean, I'm not saying he's not a good player and a great player, but if I look at him and his ability, he's probably underachieved over his career. I mean, because he's that good. I mean, I don't know how many majors he's won, but not enough in my
He's won
book.
2.
Is that enough for a man of that ability?
No, not really. He's always had issues, years gone by with the wedge.
Yes.
Then he got the wedge right. Then he started putting poorly. Now he's putting better. Now his driving's not out there with the rest of them, and he's saying he's happy where he is. Look, he can win the Masters. He's got the game, but he's got to put it together.
Yeah, so again, no value there. Now, here's another guy who is now world number 1, Scotty Scheffler, but 16 to 1. He's just had all these tournament victories. I don't know if he can keep producing.
No, he definitely can't. Golf tells you he can't. So, look, he's a good player. He's done exceptionally well. The Masters, the major. I don't think so, Neil.
Mm.
At the moment, I wouldn't back the top 5 or 6 at the moment.
Well, we're going through the top 5 now. We're starting to get into territories now where I think that I certainly would be more interested, and I think Lance would be as well. Colin Morikawa, he can win, no question.
No doubt. He's got the game, he's got the temperament. Augusta will suit him. You know, he puts that fade in where he needs to. Putting's his weakness, Neil. And if it, you know, you've got to putt well at Augusta. So if there is an Achilles, it's the putting, but definite. If he's in the hunt, he's a player who can definitely win.
So of all those mentioned, I would agree with you, Colin Morikawa so far, but what about Brooks? Because he's definitely showing signs.
He's my pick. 2 years ago in Tiger won, or is it 3 years already? He missed the putt, club length, to get into a playoff. So he can play, he's come to form nicely. And I think, well, we know he produces at the majors, so he would be my pick, Neil.
Yeah, I think he's also, he's rounding into form at the right time. He played well at the match play. I think he only got knocked out by Dustin Johnson, who went on to win it, I think.
No, he came third.
He came third, but he got knocked out by him, didn't he?
Yes, and he should have beat him. He just, I don't know if he got tired or what. And I don't think that's his format. He likes the hunt, he likes the fight, he likes the pressure. So
yeah,
I think the Masters, the major, all the ends, Brooks is the man to beat, in my opinion.
Okay, Brooks Koepka says Lance, and you're getting 20 to 1, which is a nice price. What are you betting? Top 5 places, top 6 places? What are
Top
you?
5 in
Top
the
5
Masters.
places. So you can have a look. 20% of the
Remember,
odds,
it's a
top
reduced field, Daniel.
Yes.
It's not a normal.
Yeah, no, it's by invitation. Yes, absolutely.
There is a cut, but it's a reduced field.
And there's some no hopers there. With all due respect, Sandy Lyle has been invited, and
Bernard
Larry
Langer,
Mize. Well, Bernard actually will play.
Well, he may make the cut, but he's not going to threaten the leaders.
No, but they got there Sandy Lyle. I mean, I think Terry Payne might even get an invite, but he would be a certainty to make the cut. Spieth is the next one. 20 to 1. Where is he, Jordan?
Form is nowhere, but it is Masters week, and his record's impeccable. Second win, fourth, third last year. He just tends to pitch on Masters week. So.
And a game built for Georgia, eh? Built for Augusta.
Not for me. I mean, he can win it and he'll be in the hunt, but as a player, I can't back. And on current form, I definitely can't back.
Okay, no, to Spieth, I would agree with that, by the way. Here's another one who I suppose fits the same bill. He can win, and really, he's waiting for the Grand Slam of golf, because this is the one that's missing, which is Rory McIlroy.
And I'd love to see him win it, Neil. I love watching him. I love it when he's on song, but when he's not on song, he's frustrating to watch, man. So yes, like we mentioned earlier, he can shoot 65, 75. But, you know, I don't know what price he is, 25 to 1.
Well, he's 20 to 1 as well.
Yeah, again, no value. Because you don't know what you're going to get.
Okay, so far we've ticked off a few, and I am in full agreement with Lance on everything he said so far. Here's a guy who could win it, and I've had a long discussion with a few people, but I pushed them out of it because Victor Hovland, as good as his ball striking is, I've noticed he's not great out of the bunkers, and I'm not so sure about his short game is good enough right now to win a Masters.
It's not. Definitely isn't. Great golfer. Strikes.
Ball striking is incredible.
And he'll be there, but just hasn't got a good enough short game to win the Masters. I'll be very surprised if he wins the Masters.
And he's not in the betting here to talk on, but will Zalatoris fit the same kind of bill, except for his putting probably not the best.
Zalatoris also a great striker of the golf ball, but for me also not a great short game, not a great putter. Hasn't won a PGA Tour event. I mean, Hovland's won a good few events all over the world.
Yeah.
So both of them, I think their short game needs a lot of work.
Okay, so we've gone through literally 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We've basically gone through the top 12 in the market, and we only like Brooks. So that tells me, okay, we don't like those other ones, we don't. By definition, there's got to be somebody out there lurking who's going to give you a good run for your money at clearly a decent price.
Well, as much as I love him, Louis Oosthuizen's done well there.
Yes.
So he tends to put in a good round, he tends to put in a bad round in the weeks leading up to the Masters. But if you look at his history, he's got beat in a playoff, he got touched off.
He's had 6 seconds, I think, in majors.
Yes, and I think 2 of them are in the Masters. So I wouldn't be surprised to see him in the hunt. Patrick Cantler is absolutely nowhere for the moment, so
No.
I don't know what's happened to him.
Yeah.
Bryson DeChambeau,
Sure.
injury or not, I don't know. That course should never suit him.
I saw, by the way, a report on him. He said that when he plays Augusta, he said it's such an easy short track that he plays it in his mind as a par 67. And the guy writing the article said, well, based on that, he's 32 over in his last 4 rounds.
So how do you explain that away?
No shortage of confidence, but no, he's also...
I think it's tough this year, Neil. I think there's a good few up-and-coming golfers that we see every week. I mean, we had 6 or 7 first-time winners on the PGA Tour. You got Burns, you got youngsters that can play.
Burns, Berger.
And there's a sneaker here. He's just coming to form. He's putting better. His confidence is up. Gary Woodland.
Okay, Gary Woodland. Certainly got the length.
He's got everything.
And he's won a major.
Yes. And
I
he's
agree with you. There's a
peaking.
lot of names you can look at. There's this, I don't know whether it's a bit too early for him, but Wacom Neiman hits it a mile and there's a player. Good player, yeah. So there's,
It's
you're
tough.
right.
It's a tough Masters. But you know what happens in the Masters? The cream.
Yes.
Gets to the top. The guys know how to play. Patrick Cantler a few years ago also one shot out the lead when Tiger won. Should have got into a playoff. Schauffele, one shot out the lead when Tiger won. Should have got into the playoff.
I can't, and I was going to say I can't catch him, but the truth is he's never there to catch. I mean, he's been in positions and he just doesn't get the job done. I don't know whether there's a mental block there.
And you know who else is coming to form by his standards? It's Bubba.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's twice
And
won.
he's twice a winner. So, I mean, he got beat in Saudi Arabia. He should never have got beat. The guy made a putt to the length of the fairway to beat him.
So bottom line is what we're saying, and you can go to soccershop.bet. Lance and I, neither of us like the value in the top of the market. I'd rather spend some speculative money around 40, 50 to 1 shots. You mentioned Sam Burns, who's the type of player who hits it. What you're looking for is someone who's a good ball striker and a good short game. You can get away with it by not being the best off the tee. It's not ideal, but it's not as penal if you are a little bit wayward. So I wouldn't be too worried about the driving, but the short game, the putting and the ball striking, all very important. I want to end off with 2 names, because the Englishmen have generally got quite a good record in this over the
They
years.
have. I mean, the Rose got beat in a playoff.
Rose got well, Danny Willett won it.
Danny Willett's
400
won
to
it,
1.
yeah.
And traditionally they play quite well there. Lee Westwood's always shown he's
Correct.
capable. So the 2 that I want to throw out there is Fitzpatrick, first of all. I like a bit of Matthew Fitzpatrick. I think he's got the right game.
I won't shout
For
you
it.
down, not at all. Good player, steady.
Yeah, and he's a bit sneaky long off the
Yes,
tee.
he is.
You know, it's a very low ball flight. So him, and only because he's coupled as an Englishman, and I met him a couple of times when he won at Sun City, is Tommy Fleetwood, who's also been showing a few.
I like pull for him every week. I enjoy watching him play. He's got a good attitude. Love to see him do well. And he got beat in the Open a few years ago to Lowry.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So, and he got beat. He shot 63 in the
Yes.
US Open, and Brooks got up to win by 1. So
Yeah.
he can do it. He's got the game.
Yeah, and there's the last name that you mentioned, which is actually on our sheet here. The only other one we actually had, which was the Irishman Shane Lowry, who is an Open winner. I mean, he doesn't look like a Masters winner physically, I guess, but
No.
but there's been a few.
He's got everything.
Yeah, he has got everything.
And
For a
he
big
gets
man, good hands.
Yeah, he gets his bit between the teeth. He handles the pressure well. He can win it. And a Tyrrell Hatton, although he's as
He's nuts.
he's got a temperament,
Yeah.
the worst in the game.
Yeah.
But he's also playing well. It's a cracking Masters. As a punter, back 5, 6 players, get the value and enjoy the weekend.
So here's the story. Will Tiger make the cut? If he plays, it's a hard task to ask. I mean, if it was anybody else, I'd say he's got no chance.
chance.
But Tiger, for him, mentally so strong, you wouldn't put it past him.
Yeah, look, the chat is that he's playing really well, but practice is practice. I don't think he'll make the cut.
No.
I hope he does, don't get me wrong, because it's good for the tournament. And in actual fact, I hope he's on the leaderboard.
Sure, can you imagine?
Be it 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, I hope he's on the leaderboard. But I'd be very surprised if that's the case.
Yeah.
As good as he is.
So Lance and I see it pretty much the same. I mean, you've got to be looking for value from further down. I wouldn't, apart from Brooks, I wouldn't spend too much time trying to back a 25 to 1 or less winner. It's an open Masters. It's going to be sensational. And I'd rather spend a few rand on some 45 to 1, 50 to 1 outsiders. We've mentioned a few, but have a bet with soccershop.bet and don't miss the action, because it's the Augusta Masters. It's that time of the year, and it's just brilliant television. Regardless of what happens, there's always a tapestry of a story to tell, and there will be drama.